Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. It's finally here. After an offseason of waiting, guessing, hoping, thinking, Garrett Crochet is gone. The roster's turned over in some ways. The pitching staff is a bunch of who's. And can it actually get better than the 41 and 121 season the White Sox suffered through a season ago? Brian Anderson is back with me as the two of us give our 2025 season predictions. And boy, are some of them very unpredictable. It's myself, Ryan McGuffey, and Brian Anderson on the Seasons Predictions Podcast as baseball is finally in the air here on the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it starts right now. Brian Anderson back in the saddle. Finally, dude, we've been doing this for 6 months. Talking about, will this guy be traded? Who will be the new manager? And after all of that, after talking about a season of futility, baseball is finally here. And I know we're going to get into a bunch of projections and predictions, but it always is good. Opening day, no matter what kind of season you're anticipating, is always a good time of year.
I mean, shoot, there's so many unpredictables here. In fact, I text Burley the other day on his birthday being like, can't wait to see you July 11th, not realizing it's like 3.5 months away.
I like the name drop.
Yeah,
Casual name drop. Happy birthday, bud. Yeah. Speaking of which, you had a birthday the last time, I think the last time the two of us sat down together with Paul Konerko. I know you couldn't join us for the pods one. We had some fun at your expense, but happy birthday to you, belated.
Thank you. In fact, I think after like 30, you try to hide them. You know, I have
they're all 30.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old now where every time she has a birthday, it's like all her birthdays, one of her birthdays costs more than all mine combined. I can tell you that.
Well, I have 2 of them. So can you imagine what those have costed me over and every time you try to get creative and you never get it right. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding. They're all worth it. All right. So before we get into our predictions, this is a team that named Sean Burke their opening day starter, and one that is starting really with no carrots or cookies for fans. I was hoping at least come opening day, there'd be a Colson Montgomery in the lineup, a Chase Mydroth in the lineup, something out of the gates fans could hang their hat on and go, well, that guy's going to be here a while. I'm going to watch that guy. And when you look at a possible opening day lineup, you go, I'm not all that excited. Are you surprised?
No, I mean, I think if there's ever a time, being a former player, you know, you being a lifelong White Sox fans, all the White Sox fans out there, if there's ever a time, a generational shift to be like where my opinion, your opinion, fans' opinions probably hold just as much weight, because everything we've talked about, you know, we've been right on a few things, but everything we talked about, like, will Venable do this or will Chris Getz do that? I mean, we've hit the mark on a couple, but some of us, if no one guessed Sean Burke, I could tell you that much. Even privately, we didn't.
Yeah, I like the creativity of it, because by default, I think in October, November, December, we're like, well, it's going to be Jonathan Cannon. But Jonathan Cannon did not have a good spring. And while spring training statistics don't matter all too much, when you're a young guy coming off of your, he pitched basically 3/4 of a full season. I think numbers do matter. Like Miguel Vargas having a big spring, that mattered. He couldn't hit 125 and then come into the season after hitting 104 since the trade and go, oh God, are we excited about Miguel Vargas? So the creativity of Sean Burke, who had a really good spring, I mean, does it really matter? I'm going to give you some stats that are going to blow your mind here in a minute.
You're preaching to the choir. You said, this guy couldn't roll in there and hit $150. I'm like, hello. Like every time I showed up, it's like, yeah, you better hit 350 with 5 and 50 at bats, or you're going to start in Charlotte. So I hear you, man.
Did you ever have a great spring, or one that you felt great?
I mean, 05, after we won the World Series, when they traded Rowan, I got a call from Joey Cora, and they're like, hey man, like, you're the guy. I mean, I still had to go out there and have a pretty good spring, but after struggling like I did my first full year, every year was a tryout. And it was like, I couldn't give away one at bat. So yeah, the answer is yes.
All right. So yeah, before I get into, by the way, Sorry about the blip on the lip here.
Hey, I was on my way over here. I was on my way over to the studio to fight Kaplan. I thought you guys got into it. I said, no one touches my boy Guff.
Well, maybe 23, like when we met, that might have been a much bigger case and much better chance of happening. But, when you hit the birthdays that I hit, my friend, and that you hit, you have to do stuff like go to the dermatologist, take care of the stuff that they're like, hey, we better put a little nitrogen on that. Which
I've been there with you, brother. I got all over my ears, the back of my neck. I'm burning sunspots off.
Yeah,
more than I'm going on dates with my own wife, man.
Yeah, I mean this would have been from a date back in the past, or a fight, or both.
Yeah,
but
sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's fortunately in this case, it was preventative maintenance. All right, let's get in to our predictions. So just so the fans watching and listening are full disclosure, we're going to be transparent. I sent BA a list of predictions. I think there's 11 of them on the list. We may pivot every once in a while off of that or add one to it. We don't know each other's answers. I'm not putting him on the spot. He has some time to think about it because, quite honestly, with this team, you kind of have to think about it. So we're going to go in order of the way I sent them, and we're just going to figure it out along the way. We're going to hear his answers, my answers. I wouldn't be surprised if we had the same answer at times. So number one, who will lead the White Sox in home runs?
Take it away, buddy.
You want me to go?
Oh, you know what? I'm your guest.
No, you are my co-host.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go real cliche here because I've kind of been beating this one down since we started this podcast. I think this is the year where Andrew Vaughn goes, hey, I've hit 20. I haven't been my best self, but I got him hitting 32 homers this year.
Holy hell. Now you talk about a guy that you need to have a big year. Like he needs to have a big year for himself. For those watching at home, that says Andrew Vaughn. I have 22 home runs. That's not sexy, but it would be a career high. I can't believe out of the gate we're both going with I wanted badly to write a different name now. You know who that wanted it to be?
Luis Robert, probably.
No. Who I think it could be. Maybe. I want to believe, but I'm just kind of like Andrew Vaughn. I want him to be good, but I'm starting to believe he might just be who he is.
Yeah.
I almost wrote Miguel Vargas' name down.
No, nothing wrong with that. But again, we go back and forth on Andrew Vaughn, right? You go like, okay, top 5, top 10 pick, supposed to be a superstar. Man, from someone who had ups and downs offensively and, probably 08 was my best year. Off the bench, I hit 8 homers. 20 home runs in the big league, it's not easy. And so if you hit 250 at 20 for 10 years, you're a heck of a player, man. You look back at that guy's career, you go, that guy was really good.
And I'm glad you said that because I do think you can look at some teams and say, well, what do you mean 20 home runs is not that big of a deal? It's just not something that I know that like, when you're a team like the White Sox who struggled to score runs, I'm pulling up like last year, there's going to be a lot of dudes who hit 20. Don't get me wrong. But there's only 20 guys who hit 30. Okay. So I just like to put that in perspective. There's only 20 dudes in the big leagues who hit 30 home runs. There's 77 guys who homered who hit 20 home runs last year. But when you put that 77, there's 26 on a roster.
350. Yeah, it's not a lot.
So 20 home runs is not what it used to be way back in the day when we were growing up. But in this case, so Andrew Vaughn is at both of our picks out of the gate. BA going 32, which would be honestly that creates an entirely different conversation about Andrew Vaughn. I'm going 22. We will see. I want it to be Miguel Vargas. I'm not going to get a point for that at the end of the year if it's Miguel Vargas, but I want it to be Miguel Vargas.
I'll be sure to tell him that in the locker room. We're like, I wanted it to be you so bad I didn't pick you.
Yeah, I wanted it to be so bad I picked the other guy that I just by default I know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
All right, this arguably could be the best question or certainly the most. I mean, this thing could be any number of probably 15 different people. Who will lead the pitching staff in wins? Now, this could be you could have picked a relief pitcher here. Noah Schultz could be an option here. We don't even know when he's going to come up. All right, I want to give you a few things. We have Martin Perez in the rotation, right? 1,575 and 2/3 career innings. Okay, 1,575 and 2/3 career innings. The rest of the White Sox staff: Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Jonathan Cannon, Shane Smith. You want to take a stab at career innings pitched for the
530.
256 and 2/3. 256 and 2/3 career innings for 4/5 of the White Sox rotation. This is where I'm talking. This is my biggest concern. It was a concern when Ethan was sitting here. I still have the concern at the end of spring training. I would like to see the White Sox add more veteran depth. Dane Dunning's out there. I know he's not pitching like he used to, but he's a guy. I don't think they have enough BA April, May, June to get to the back half. I don't. I want to be surprised. Somebody in this rotation is going to pitch well and surprise us. There's not going to be another Garrett Crochet. There's going to be, maybe it's Sean Burke. Maybe Sean Burke takes the baton and runs with it. Davis Martin, when he has pitched for the White Sox in 22 and 24, at times he's looked really good. His career high in innings pitched is 63 and a third in the big leagues. And then Jonathan Cannon had the best year of anybody, but he had a bumpy spring. So take all of that information, throw it in a blender, and what spits out to you?
You brought up a good point. I think in most organizations, you got to pick a starter because he's going to go out there 35 times. But the White Sox leader in wins could very well be a bullpen guy, a back-end bullpen guy, long guy that comes in, eats up innings, that David Risky type. But my call, I'm going to go with Davis Martin with 9 wins.
Davis Martin with 9 is a pretty good. That's a pretty good. So Jonathan Cannon had 9 a year ago. Okay. And that would have won. So Davis Martin has 8 career wins. I'm sorry. The team, he has 3 career wins. The team is 8 and 17 when he pitches. Okay. So they do win. They were 7 and 7 in 2022 when he took the mound. 3 career wins. Burke has 2 career wins. Cannon has 5 career wins.
Yeah.
Shane Smith has 0. That is 10 career wins from 4 guys. So Martin Perez is a guy I think that gets dealt at the deadline, right? Like I do. I think by assuming he pitches okay, someone's picking the veteran up and going to run with him for depth down the stretch. I'm going to go off I'm just going to take a complete. I have my answer to the next question could be my answer to this question.
Hey, double up, buddy. There's no judging here.
All right, fine. You know what? I'm teasing the next question. I think it's going to be Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson's in the bullpen. I really badly wanted to pick Shane Smith, the Rule 5 guy that the White Sox just kept, had a monster spring, and really we know nothing about him other than he's a Rule 5 guy getting a shot. I really badly want to pick him, and I kind of want it to be Sean Burke, just so the White Sox keep doing this to us, where they're like, Garrett Crochet is opening day starter, and then he's the hottest name at the deadline. I'm going to say Bryce Wilson. 52 career starts for Bryce Wilson. He's going to be that. It feels like he's going to be that swing guy out of the bullpen. Okay. I really want this answer to be somebody that's actually in the damn staff, but because everything's available, I think Bryce Wilson may get some late in. This team's going to win games and lose games late as well. So some relievers are going to be able to steal wins. So I'm going Bryce Wilson.
So for the fans out there too, in mental note, Guff's side picks, Vargas, Smith, wanted to choose them, but didn't.
It's me saying I have so much PTSD from this team.
It's okay. You learned it,
I can't answer just a straight answer. All right, here's a fun one. Mike Clevenger's getting the ball allegedly in the 9th inning when the White Sox have a lead. So how many opportunities is he even going to get? We'll see. He is the clubhouse leader and going to be the closer on this team, which just I'm going to repeat that. Mike Clevenger is going to be the closer on this team. Who will lead the team in saves? It was Michael Kopech a year ago, even after the trade.
So I like Clevenger. It's all obviously going to depend on health. Also able to come in. He's got good stuff, man. You can bring him in for those 4-out saves, 5-out saves if he's rested. So I think in a given situation, if it gets dicey in the 8th, there's 1 out. White Sox are up by 2. They're going to get him hot. You know what I mean? So I think Clevenger's going to lead the team in saves. He'll have mid-teens will be my guess.
So wait, you're saying it will be Clevenger, mid-teens?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. I think based off what happened last year, you got to go with a guy that win, lose, or draw. He's got the experience where you could say, this guy's done it before. I think if you just go, whoever's next guy up or whoever's kind of throwing well recently, you end up in those situations where you blow a lot of leads in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. So this guy's done it. He's done it at a high level. He's got the itch to come back. I think he's closing out games all year if he's healthy.
All right. I like the pick. I mean, it's kind of a default pick, but I understand it. I also think it could be a situation where he gets traded. If he has success in that role, why are you keeping him? You are definitely dealing him at the deadline. Doesn't mean the pick's not right. Kopech left at the deadline, still led the team in saves. He was one of 10 pitchers last year.
He could still get 13 by July.
Oh, I mean, hell, I think if he gets 9, not only will he be traded, he'll likely he'll probably take down the title. I'm going to go off the reservation here. This is where I wrote Bryce Wilson's name down. He has 3 career saves, but if I'm going to have him lead in wins, I'm not going to pick him for saves. Okay. And just to be different, for the sake of difference, I don't want to pick Mike Clevenger. I'm going Peyton Pillette.
Okay.
Remember, that's the name John Eli gave us about last year's team. Like, there were guys down the stretch who like, that guy should be in the big leagues. He had a good spring. He did not make the team. He just was sent down about a week or so ago. But as you know, the shuttle from Charlotte to Chicago, you want to talk about you'll never have to, all you're going to have to do is keep gassing it, because the keys will stay in that car and that train and that plane all year long. There will be rotating flights all season. I'm going with a guy that's not here yet, Peyton Pillette.
That's a great call. Hey, it's about time. Now, who's your should have picked him or was going to?
No, you've pissed me off, and I'm no longer doing that for the rest of this. I'm no longer doing that for the rest of the predictions, just so I don't have to sit here 6 months from now to go half a point, half a point, half a point. All right. We've been talking about Andrew Vaughn. He's our team leader for home runs. We started this whole thing off with Andrew Vaughn. You picked 32 bombs. I have 22 bombs. Give me Andrew Vaughn's stat line for the 2025 season.
And cool, but before we get ahead of ourselves, you mentioned a really good point. Like, the White Sox are in a weird spot because we're making all these predictions based off, well, shit, man, if they're that good, they'll probably be gone. So we're making predictions based off probably half a season if they're going good. So Andrew Vaughn's stat line this year,
we know you have 32 homers.
I'm going to go 275, 32 homers, 25 doubles, 2 triples, 90 ribbies.
Wow. Well, you know what? I hope you're right. I honestly,
man. I mean, we talk about this all the time. You're like, at some point throughout our career, right? Like, I had a ridiculous team, so it's a bad example, but at some point the GM or the manager kind of pulls Andrew Vaughn aside, Benintendi, Luis Robert, should they have another veteran presence bat at some point? You go, guys, hey, we need you to show up every day. If you don't, we're going to get clobbered. And it puts a little pressure on them, but also lights a fire. So I think that needs to happen. Yeah.
Hey, I don't hate it. And quite frankly, it's put up or shut up time right now for Andrew Vaughn. And I love the dude. I want to love the player. And to be the Golden Spikes Award winner and a top 5 pick, expectations are on you. And when the spotlight was on the White Sox, he wasn't really performing. I do think early on, being asked to play right field did a number on his legs in the latter part of the year, but that's no longer an excuse. Here's my stat line. His average over 162 games is 253, 310, 415. So my pick for Andrew Vaughn is 253, 310, 415.
You're going slug, huh? You're going on base and slug. Okay.
I'm going on base and slug, 22 bombs.
All right.
80 RBI, which would be 80 RBI, which is, I think he had it one other year. Last year, I made a bold, Chuck and I, when we did this podcast on the old other network. Yeah, 80 RBI is his career high. I said we had a bold prediction. My bold prediction is that Andrew Vaughn would have 100 RBI. I kind of felt about Andrew Vaughn like you do this year. I thought last year was now or never. It really is now or never. I hope Vaughn is right. And no matter what, like, I don't think he gets, even if he's having a big first half, I don't think he gets traded. He's kind of a one-dimensional player. He's average to below average first baseman. even if he's having that type of pop while the White Sox may field calls, I don't think he gets traded. So those numbers could happen the rest of the year. So 22, you said 25 doubles. I think that's pretty spot on. He's normally actually a 30 double guy. So 25 doubles would be kind of right in the middle.
I'll tell you, that's the one stat line. If you hit and you get 600 at bats, even for me when I was struggling, man, like
30.
As a major league player, if you get 500 at bats, 600 plate appearances, you should accidentally get 25 doubles. I mean, I remember that was something for me where I'm like, if I can't hit a line drive in a left center field gap, I shouldn't fucking be here.
Yeah. Hey, amen. All right. So this is a fun one. And I talked about carrot and cookies because I don't just, when the White Sox run out the lineup on Thursday, there's just not that guy you're dying to see him make his major league debut. Colson Montgomery got banged up in spring training. When he missed that week, I knew that was a red flag. Yeah. He needed the at-bats. He needed the reps at shortstop. So they're sending him down. We heard Getz say we could see him in the summer. We heard Venable midsummer. Colson's taking the high road and just saying, I'm going to go do my work. So when will Colson Montgomery make his major league debut?
I think he's going to be up quick. I think for a new manager, someone who hasn't had the success he could have in the minor leagues, like Colson Montgomery's a freak, right? We both love him. He's going to be a big leaguer for a long time. But I think that was a test for them to go, hey, man, you got hurt a little bit. You haven't put up in crazy numbers. I remember Konerko asked me what I hit in AAA when I got called up. It was like 300. He's like, in Charlotte, that's it. So my point being is, he's going to go off. I think he's going to get a hot start. But if one of these middle infielders falter, or anybody for that matter, and there's a spot open, he's on fire, he's getting called up. I would say he's getting called up mid-April.
So you say mid-April. What you just said at the latter part, I think that put my antenna up. If one of these guys, struck, Jacob Amaya right now is the projected opening day shortstop. I with all due respect to Jacob Amaya, I'm not sure he makes another team. I honestly, I don't know if he makes another team.
You're absolutely right. I mean, look who we're talking about. I mean, we've talked about it every single podcast. If there's ever a team that you wanted an opportunity to get your shot with or get another opportunity, this team was like, hey, come show us what you got. It's like the movie Major League when they brought all those guys in. It's like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, it's seriously, it is what it is.
We might have one or two potential all-stars here. Okay. So that part of it makes me think maybe my prediction's wrong. So I looked at the schedule and I'm like, okay, I just blew right past April. A lot of road games. They're playing at Cleveland. They have Boston a couple of times, both here and there. They got the Brewers. They're at Sacramento. I'm like, none of those are friendly for a guy trying to come up and have a soft landing. Now, you shouldn't always be worried about a landing spot, but with these guys, I do think trying to find a soft spot to put them in makes sense. I looked at May 19th as a start of a road trip right after the first crosstown at Wrigley as a possibility. I don't think debuting him at crosstown does him any favors. But then I'm like, Mariners, Rangers, then they go at the Mets, at the Orioles. But when they come back from that trip against the Orioles, Monday, June 2nd, against the Tigers, 4 games against the Tigers, 3 against the Royals. You get them at home. You get 2 divisional opponents before a road trip. Of the bulk of your games in June are at home, and you get them in front of your home fans for all of summer. So start of June on. I'm going June 2nd, 2 months in the minors for Colson Montgomery. Even if he's raking, let that confidence. Let him just, instead of guessing, hey, Colson, are you coming up? Are you not coming up? Just let him go out there and hit. I know he struggled in AAA last year. He had a 28% strikeout rate. That all looked a lot better when he went to Arizona Fall League and into the offseason. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going June 2nd, a home game against the Tigers.
And remember, just to play devil's advocate here, you're not wrong. That all systems point to that adding up. But from someone who's been up and down a couple times and kind of seen the makeup and how they look at stats and whatnot, right? I'm telling you, if the White Sox suck and he's playing well, that 60 days is like an eternity. Like every series, he's going to be like, why the hell am I not getting called up? Like then agents start calling. It's a real mess. So that I agree. In a perfect situation, that makes a lot of sense. I just don't know if he could stay down there with a team that's struggling. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of pressure on Getz to call him up if he's playing well. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's the former player in you kind of understanding the whole process. And, I'm just sitting here trying to I'm on the dartboard going, this day looks good. No, but it makes sense. You said if the White Sox suck, like they're not going to be good. Yeah, it's an advantageous situation for him for sure. That makes the most sense. All right. One we've been talking about literally all offseason. Luis Robert. He's still being talked about right now as a possibility to be traded as soon as possible. He's breaking camp with the team. Some of us didn't think that would be the case. So the question I pose to you is, will Luis Robert Jr. be traded? And if so, when? Yeah. So, just to say the same thing again that we've been saying, here's the way I look at it. He hit for some power. Like, he looked healthy this spring. The offer wasn't so good where Getz couldn't pass it up, right? There must not have been any takers, because if you're Getz and he's going off, he's hitting for power, he's tracking balls out down in center field, you pounce all over a great opportunity, maybe a couple prospects, a middle reliever, a top 3 starter for him. You jump all over it. So the getting must not been that good. So I think if he's healthy, he's going off. The White Sox aren't in a competitive spot. He's going to be gone at the deadline. But again, like you said with Andrew Vaughn, if he's kind of just throwing 250 up there with 12 homers and just going through the motions and, had a couple hamstring injuries, only played 50 of the 80 games, he's not going anywhere. Yes, you're right. And the other key is, I think the only reason right now he hasn't been traded is because people want to see him on the field. He had a really good spring. He had 4 home runs. He had 2 in the final 2 games. Yeah. He played. He took a lot of pitches. He was patient for the first time ever. How that translates when teams actually start scouting you and start using scouting reports as soon as the season begins, we'll see. And the other thing I'll be interested to see with him, health aside, is does he start to get the itch to want to get out of there? And if he does, that should make him want to be better and be motivated. And I said, the best thing White Sox fans should be able to cheer for if you're not getting a Colson Montgomery, if you're not getting a Noah Schultz or Chase Meidroth to hook your horn too early on, root for Luis Robert like you've never rooted for him before. Cheer for that guy to absolutely go off, stay on the field, and be the best possible player as the trade deadline nears that's available to make teams going, damn it, we got an injury in center field, or we got a guy that's playing center field that should be playing left and that knows they're trying to win a World Series and can go out and acquire him. I say absolutely. He's getting traded, assuming he's on the field. Even if he has a 250, like you said, 250, 10 home runs, I think he'll get traded, because at some point you just have to move him, even though he's got 2 option years left. I'm saying I'm rooting for him to have a big year. I think he does. Go ahead. No, I was saying it. We've broached this subject a couple of times. I'm surprised. I wish we'd have brought this up when we had Konerko on. It is so bizarre to me that both of us are guilty of it. Fans, all the same. Like, oh man, I really hope he wants to go out there and play, and if nothing else, get traded. Could you have wanted to be on the field the last 5 years for the Sox? I get it. No one wants to be hurt, but could you have shown the same sense of urgency for the Sox as you do showcasing yourself for the other 29 major league teams? It blows my mind. That just would never have been tolerated back when I played. All right. Not that the White Sox are trying to do themselves any schedule favors for here, but I actually picked a date. I went, yes. And then it happened, like a team jumps in front of everybody on June 26th, a month before the deadline. Someone makes a move. The White Sox do have an off day. I don't think that really matters, but it's easy for the White Sox to get that news out. June 26th, it's a day off after the D-back series before the Giants at home. Luis Robert traded because he's showing that his ability to stay healthy is there and that he's actually producing for a team that's way up the track. My opinion, if I were Chris Getz and I saw that dude playing like you've always hoped he would play,
the sooner I can get him, like assuming you get 90 games, or not 90, but like 65, 70 games of health, I'm trying to get that trade done ASAP.
Well, look at like a Dodgers team, like one of those outfielders goes down, like a Mookie Betts type caliber player, like in April, they'll pull the trigger. They'll pull the trigger in April if they have to go get someone to fill the gap.
All right, couple more here on the White Sox Recap Podcast 2025 season predictions. This is the one I struggled with the most, and because I just traded the one easy default answer for the question, I traded him on June 26th, so he can't be the answer. Who will be the White Sox All-Star?
Oh, man. I told you. How can I give you Andrew Vaughn's numbers and that not be all-star caliber on this team?
I thought about that. As soon as you said that, I'm like, that's got to be your all-star.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit. You hit 30 on the White Sox, you're going to be the all-star. And, hey, I see a situation where there could be two. Probably not in the arms, but, again, because they don't have a set guy who's like their guy, you run – we played the Pirates a lot too. You run enough guys out there for, 20 times before the break, they rack up 9 wins because, they caught fire and the team played well for them. I mean, there's your all-star on the mound. And then my choice is Andrew Vaughn.
You said 9 wins. You rack up 9 wins. I just want to be clear. Last year's team leader, and do you remember who the team leader in wins was last year for pitching?
No, because the only thing I knew about the White Sox pitching staff is what you and John Eli told me.
The answer is Eric Fetty, who was traded at the deadline.
Yeah, there you go.
7. So My answer, I'm going to do this. This became a default answer for me, and I do think he's going to pitch well. He had a really good second half after he was traded, and I fully expect him to be dealt closer to the deadline. I'm going Martin Perez, the old veteran, former All-Star.
Yeah.
And a guy who knows what it takes to get up and down every 5th day, lead a young staff. He wants to build off of his second half in San Diego. He wants to win. Let's be honest. He knows what it's like to be an all-star. He played for Will Venable in Texas. I'm going Martin Perez.
I like that. I can't even get mad at you. I think he's going to be kind of the beacon of stability on that staff. Guys are going to lean on him, and he might be your all-star. Like you said, that's the guy that runs out there and goes, well, good news, guys, he has 8 wins. Bad news, we just traded him.
Yeah, 100%. But when you trade Martin Perez, the sexiness of Noah Schultz and Hagen Smith, you and I are probably going to spend more time watching those two guys than some of the stuff that happens here. I'm going to be locked in when they're pitching, where they're pitching, and when they're pitching, and how they're pitching. But everyone wants the gratification of them pitching here in Chicago. Okay?
Hey, man, I'm just hoping Cap gives us an expense account to go get like Chipotle and go to a tailgate and maybe
Birmingham
game.
Oh, you want to go? Yeah, you know what, bud? I think I can handle that. I got the recap card. I think we'll take. I'll grab the recap card, and we'll just have a no holds barred night at the ballpark.
Yeah, well, he's gonna give us the green light because he knows I'll get everything for free anyway. It's bullshit.
Combined innings pitched at the big league level for Noah Schultz and Hagen Smith. The good thing is, if one of them doesn't make it and one of them does, the answer still counts for both.
That's true.
Schultz and Smith combined innings at the major league level.
Next year, I don't want to disparage either of them. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they both get called up, but I'll call it 30. We'll call it 30. Ooh. 2 September call-ups, getting a couple, maybe a spot start, some mop up, some plus minus innings, but I'm hoping they get 15 innings each in September.
It's funny. I actually think that's a very educated response because I'm a little bit like mine's 72. Now, mine's 72 because I think Schultz has the leg up and an actual opportunity to be here in like after the trade deadline. So let's call it August 1. I'm with you on Hagen Smith. I think he's never pitched an inning. Like he was pitching strictly in Arkansas last year, and he was on a 7-day rotation. I mean, that was one of the things they had to work out this spring is just moving him to a 5-day rotation. They did that in the spring. So now he's got to go out and do a season of that.
Plus he's had TJ before too. I mean, they're going to keep that in mind too. Not that they are going to withhold him from coming to the big leagues, but before they push him, they're going to go, do we really want to put more wear and tear on him when we don't need to?
So here's what I looked at. I looked at 10 starts for Noah Schultz.
Jeez.
Okay? Well, what? 10?
No, I'm saying it's great for him.
10 starts. That's August through September, 5-5. And I capped him at like 5 innings to start. So 50 innings, knowing that maybe he gets 6 in a few and 4 in a few others. So I put him at like 50. So I'm like, that gives me about 20 innings to play with. I almost made it set. So I gave the other 22 to Hagen Smith getting 5 starts in September. I'm with you. I don't expect these guys to if there's ever a safe and sorry plan, it's going to be with those two guys. No, maybe not position players, but those two guys, like Colson's going to be, I do agree. I think he's on the faster train, but those two guys, they're going to make sure that they get that right. They don't want to mess that up, before they don't want to get, and they've talked about it. Ethan sat with us. It's like, you see the stuff and you immediately want to go, man, what's that look like in Chicago? But then, hey, wait a minute. These guys, we're planning for the long haul here.
You got Randy Johnson Jr. on the mound. We don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Schultz looks the deal. He looks like to be honest with you, watching Hagen Smith, he looks like Rodon with that wipeout slider. All right. Last couple here. Putting a bow on this. Who wins the AL Central?
Oh, man. Are you going to make me go first?
I'll give you mine.
You know what? Oh, go ahead.
I think it's the Kansas City Royals. I do. I really like that young team. I really like what they did last year. They maybe they take a step back. They took such a leap from a 100-loss team to get to the postseason. Love Bobby Witt Jr. Wish the White Sox had a Bobby Witt Jr. coming. Maybe they do in Braden Montgomery. I think the Royals are a team that's in position to add at the deadline. Maybe somebody that maybe like Cueto back in like 10 years ago when they were trying to win the World Series. I almost picked the Guardians because by default, they're just so damn good all the time and they know what I feel like they're playing chess. We're all playing checkers, but I think it's the Royals' turn. I think the Royals win the division.
Yeah, I love it too. They got the prospects. They got the leadership. They're built for that. I mean, they got probably the top 2 best players in baseball. But again, I'm going to go with the Guardians only because just like the Giants did for that stretch, not the championships and all that, but man, for the last 10 years, those guys just had the secret sauce. They're like 1-2. They compete. They got a good thing going, good fan base. They're just competitive. And I like their manager too. Their manager's a stud. So
Vach.
He's great. And his last career at bat is it. I watch it sometimes to make myself cry.
His kids, in case you haven't seen that last at bat with the Oakland A's, his kids introduced him. So he's coming to bat, and his kids are up in the PA booth. They introduced our dad, Steven, and then he hits a bomb, and then he's running around the bases. You can see he's crying around.
Oh my god! And I'm like, I wasn't even there.
Yeah, it's a movie. All right, this is a fun one.
I know which one this is. I think
it'll be better, right? Right? It'll be better, right? That's the question. That's the prediction. It'll be better, right?
Hey, if you want to ask, or if you want to officially ask the question, I have an answer for you.
I did. It'll be better. I don't know. I'm asking you I'm like, for those watching, and for those listening, I have my hands on my face where it's like, I'm not supposed to look, but I'm looking, but I don't want to look. It'll be better, right? Please tell me it'll be better.
Even at the college level, when I was at Northwestern, where all that turmoil going on with the coaching change, and they brought in Ben Greenspan, you could see right away there's a certain standard, and just by his more militant approach, there's going to be more success in every aspect, every facet of the game. And a guy like Will Venable, right? He's been doing it a long time. He's been with Bochy. There's no way he's not bringing some of that that character and that team kind of energy. It's going to translate some way, somehow. So it's no doubt going to be better. I wish the White Sox stay healthy. I believe the fans, if they see some light at the end of the tunnel, it's going to be really fun to watch some of the younger guys come up. But the bar wasn't set too high last year. So I think you have to go with it's going to be better.
All right. So I have maybe with a question mark and an exclamation mark and then a ... because I'm going to take your baton and run with it. I do think Will Venable is going to be a reason that the White Sox will be better. And better is going to be italicized because it depends on what your definition of better is. Your definition is, are the White Sox going to be competitive for a wild card spot? Well, then no, they're not. It's not going to be better. If your definition is that there's going to be accountability on this damn team in this organization, and if you're going to start seeing baseball be played the way it's supposed to be played, like guys hitting the cutoff man and running first to third and doing the little things in order to try to get an extra run, even if it costs you a game. I'm sick of watching games where they lose 4-2 or 5-2, and they coughed it up in the 7th and 8th because of stupid, bad baseball, just unexecution, selfish play, doing things that are completely off script, missing cutoff guys, etc. I think that's where we're going to see a better team. It might equal losses, but we might watch a game BA now and go, man, that was a good baseball game. The Sox lost.
Oh yeah, but they, Guff.
Yeah.
Everything you mentioned, running balls out hard, taking the extra base, getting ball in dirt reads, hitting your cutoff man, making sure you execute a bump play at a high level, knowing your first and thirds, communicating. You do those things enough. I don't care if you're in little league or in the big league level. Obviously in little league, kids do that. They run the league, but it's those little things that really start to add up, especially in those middle innings when guys start going, it's only the 4th inning. Oh shit. I'm going to try to sail one, and that's 2 extra runs. You lose by 2. So, baseball, there's that age-old saying, the better teams, other ones that are stacked like the Dodgers, the ones that do the little things over and over and over at a high level usually end up being pretty good.
Yeah, and so I expect that at this point. Like, that's, to me, the reason Will Venable's here. You hired a guy that has a resume with Hall of Fame names next to him of the people he's learned from. Not some guy, I used to call him puffy chested Pedro in the end, because it's like, dude, I'm looking around. You're sitting out there speaking like you're a 150 win manager. You're one of the worst managers in the history of the game from a winning percentage standpoint, and your team is out there doing things all over the completely opposite of what you're saying. I think here's what I wrote down. It'll hurt in the immediate, but embrace the summer months. And what I mean by that is, the carrots and the cookies are coming. Some of these guys, those 6 guys who are in the top 100, they're coming. Kyle Teal's coming. Chase Mydroff's going to be here probably quicker than any. He might be the first guy here because you make an argument he should be here already. Chase Mydroff and Colson Montgomery are going to be your defense up the middle, not Lenine Sosa and Jacob Amaya. Like, that makes me cringe and gives me goosebumps for the wrong reason. But I think about Mydroff and Montgomery, and I'm like, that could be fun, seeing a guy with a 400 on base. I don't think Braden Montgomery gets here this year, but let's see him rip the cover off the ball in the minor leagues. And maybe he is a 30 home run guy in the future. That's why I said in the immediate, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt going, shit, like this guy's got a slug of 494, but he's just a Band-Aid for the guy that's coming. That's why I said it's the best months in the best city in the world in the summer is Chicago. And the best months to be a Sox fan in 2025, in my opinion, will be the summer. So let's go. All right. So that leads us to what will be the White Sox record in 2025 as we put a bow on our season predictions. BA, you go on this one first. Well, I think you're going to be more optimistic. I have a feeling.
Well, we've talked about this a bunch. So I'm going to say the White Sox have 63 wins. I know why you think I'm going to say that. Is it keeps them out of the triple-digit loss column. So a 63-99 sure looks a hell of a lot better than a 50-112. So that's my prediction. I'm sticking to it.
All right. So I liked the idea of like that being if you were managing this team, you said that'd be your rallying cry in spring training. Like, this should be a goal, which you, in theory, would be like, wait a minute, you're rooting for 99 losses? Folks, you can make an argument if the White Sox have 63 wins this year that Will Venable should get manager of the year votes. That'd be a 22-game improvement.
Plus 20 in the win column. I think it's anyone a manager of the year vote, or at least.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take what you said and be a little bit maybe more realistic and pessimistic at the same time. I'm going to say 53-109. So they're not going to lose 110. I wish I could say they'd be 63-99. I really do. But this is
wrong with that. You're still you're still being optimistic about the upcoming season without crowning them, like, oh yeah, they're going to win 80 games. Like, wait a minute. I've been on some world championship caliber teams that won 89 games. And we're like, how the hell do we not make the playoffs? And that was a huge letdown, right? But I mean, it's tough to do. It's tough to win 90 games at the big league level.
This is the projected White Sox opening day lineup. I want to read this to you. And this is why I'm staying at 53, because we aren't running out there a name that's going, well, this should be fun. Austin Slater, 2 through 4 is not going to hurt as bad. Austin Slater leading off, Robert Benintendi and Vaughn, 2, 3, 4. By the way, hat tip to Andrew Benintendi for working his tail off with a broken hand to be back and available for opening day. Pretty impressive. So I almost picked Benintendi for my home run leader. Robert Benintendi and Vaughn. Here you go. You ready for the 5 through 9? Matt Theis at catcher. Miguel Vargas at third. Lenine Sosa at second. Michael A. Taylor in left. Jacob Amaya at short. 53 and 109.
Hey, man, that Michael A. Taylor one, shame on us. Like, not to turn back the clock too much, but the guy's had some success, spurts of success here and there at the major league level. He's the one that we're going to look back in 2 months and go, oh, we should have picked him. Because, he's going to be off to a hot start. He'll be hitting 4-hole before you know it.
Hang on. I need to go get a puke bucket after I
4-hole. We grasping at straws here.
Here's where we are. You have 63 and 99. I have 53 and 109. Maybe at the end of all of this we'll just burn all of these and be completely wrong. Maybe we'll be right. We'll come back and we'll revisit these throughout the year, and certainly at the end of the year. Put all of what we expect aside, and no matter what, a new era of White Sox baseball is back. And it's going to be led by Will Venable and company. And Chris Getz is doing stuff behind the scenes. He's brought in a boatload of people from outside the organization. I think he's over his employee expenses in terms of employee salaries and bringing other guys in. He keeps bringing them in. My guess is that the budget is in the red, but at least he's being allowed to do it. Now we'll see. He sat right here on this couch and said, I'm going to keep doing it the way I plan to do it. I don't care if I run out of time. We'll see. But the best part about all of it is at least we have real baseball to talk about going forward, my man.
You ain't kidding, man. I mean, it's fun to be able to talk about an actual game or an actual play or a body of work as opposed to reflecting on the past years. So I'm excited.
So am I, BA. This was fun. I can't wait to see how right or wrong we were. We have real baseball to talk about. He's Brian Anderson. I'm Ryan McGuffey. This has been the White Sox Recap Podcast 2025 season predictions. Wherever you listen, download, like, and subscribe, or whether you watch right here on YouTube, we certainly appreciate you. Get ready for the 2025 season. We'll have guests and players and management and former players, etc., as we celebrate the 2005 White Sox and the 125th season of White Sox baseball. Putting a bow on this edition. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.